Biomed, Nexus, daily updates, your essential biotech, medtech and pharma recap. No noise, just what matters. TLDR India is grappling with a severe shortage of cisplatin and carboplatin, two cornerstone chemotherapy drugs used across virtually every solid tumor type globally, according to the pharma letter. Soaring platinum prices, higher import duties and regulatory delays are making production financially unsustainable for Indian generic manufacturers. The FDA flagged patient deaths linked to Amgen's rare disease drug Tavneos, avacopan, and called for its voluntary removal from the market, according to Biospace. Amgen recruited an independent data analysis from Duke researchers to build the case for the drug's continued approval. Biogen, BIIB executives told Fierce Biotech that the company is in the middle of a transition to the new Biogen by embracing partnerships and external investments, signaling a strategic pivot from its historically internal R&D model. Layoffs continue across the sector. Engene halved its workforce, Numora Therapeutics cut 35%, and Genentech's R&D restructuring reached a 30-year executive, according to Fierce Biotech and Biospace. Executive takeaway: the India chemotherapy shortage is a supply chain story with global implications. Cisplatin and carboplatin are among the most widely used oncology drugs in the world. They are backbone treatments for lung cancer, ovarian cancer, bladder cancer, head and neck cancer, and testicular cancer, among others. India is a major producer of generic platinum-based chemotherapy for both domestic use and global export. When production becomes financially unsustainable in India, the supply chain effects reach every market that depends on Indian generics, including the United States, where India supplies a significant portion of generic drug volume. The drivers are specific. Platinum prices have surged, driven in part by the same commodity disruption caused by the Iran war's impact on global trade. Import duties on raw materials have increased, and regulatory delays are slowing production restarts. This is the kind of supply chain vulnerability that the Section 232 tariff framework and the MFN deals were partly designed to address, but domestic manufacturing of generic platinum chemotherapy is not something that can be stood up quickly. Meanwhile, the Amgen Tavneos story is a reminder that post-approval safety monitoring can result in market withdrawal requests, even for drugs that went through full FDA review. The FDA asking Amgen to voluntarily pull Tavneos over patient deaths is the most serious post-market safety action for a rare disease drug this year. Read full analysis. What to watch: cisplatin, carboplatin supply. Whether the shortage extends beyond India to affect global supply. U.S. cancer centers should be monitoring inventory levels and identifying alternative sourcing. Amgen Tavneos. Response: whether Amgen accepts the voluntary withdrawal or fights to keep the drug on the market using the Duke analysis. The outcome sets a precedent for post-market safety disputes. Bio International Convention, June 22 to 25, San Diego, 5 days out. Deal announcements, partnering meetings and strategic presentations. Revolution Medicines CNPV filing, 2 weeks, post-ASCO plenary. Still awaited. Medicare, GLP-1 bridge, July 1st, 14 days out. Supply chain India faces severe shortage of cisplatin and carboplatin. The pharma letter reported on June 16th that India is grappling with a severe shortage of two cornerstone chemotherapy drugs, cisplatin and carboplatin. The shortage is driven by three converging factors: soaring platinum prices, the primary raw material for both drugs, higher import duties on platinum group metals, and regulatory delays that are preventing manufacturers from restarting or scaling production. Indian generic manufacturers report that production has become financially unsustainable at current raw material costs and domestic price controls. Executive impact: Cisplatin and carboplatin are among the most prescribed oncology drugs globally. They are used as first-line treatment in multiple solid tumor types and as components of combination regimens with checkpoint inhibitors, Keytruda plus cisplatin, carboplatin in NSCLC, and ADCs, Padcev plus Keytruda in bladder cancer. A sustained shortage from India, which is one of the world's largest generic chemotherapy producers, could disrupt treatment protocols globally. The platinum price surge connects to the broader commodity disruption caused by the Iran war, which has driven up prices for energy, metals, and petrochemical-derived pharmaceutical inputs. This is the second India-specific supply chain disruption we have covered. The first was the API rerouting due to Strait of Hormuz closure in May. Safety and Regulatory FDA asks Amgen to voluntarily pull Tavneos over patient deaths. Amgen Biospace reported that the FDA flagged patient deaths linked to Amgen's rare disease drug Tavneos, avacopan, for ANCA-associated vasculitis and called for its voluntary removal from the market. Amgen responded by recruiting an independent data analysis from Duke University researchers to build the case for the drug's continued market approval. The outcome of this dispute will be closely watched. If the FDA's voluntary removal request is accepted, it would be the highest-profile post-market withdrawal of a rare disease drug in recent years. If Amgen successfully uses independent analysis to challenge the FDA's assessment, it could establish a precedent for how drug makers respond to post-market safety signals. Corporate strategy Biogen pivots to the new Biogen through partnerships. Biogen executives told Fierce Biotech on June 16 that the company is in the middle of a transition to the new Biogen by embracing partnerships and external investments. The strategic pivot represents a departure from Biogen's historically internal R&D model, which produced Spinraza, SMA, Tecfidera, MS, and Leqembi, Alzheimer's, with Eisai. The company has recently consolidated felzartamab rights, Atefovimate, TJ Biopharma received breakthrough therapy for Solanocin, SMA, and advanced Diranersen to Phase 3, Tau Alzheimer's, despite Phase 2 miss. The new Biogen framing signals management is explicitly acknowledging that the company's future depends on external innovation, not just internal discovery. Workforce layoffs continue. Engene, Neumora, Genentech. The biopharma layoff trend continues into June. Engene halved its workforce in a cost-saving initiative. Fierce Biotech, Biospace, June 16. Neumora Therapeutics cut 35% of staff. Fierce Biotech, Biospace, June 16. Genentech R&D restructuring reached a top executive who had been with the biotech for nearly 30 years. Biospace, June 11. These follow the Takeda 4,500 global cuts, May. Novartis Biomedical Research layoffs, May. Gilead Arcellx 87% workforce reduction, June. And Fulcrum 85% cut, June. The pattern remains consistent. Companies are right-sizing around core therapeutic priorities while cutting programs and people that do not fit the strategic focus. The week ahead, June 22 to 25, Bio International Convention, San Diego, imminent, Revolution Medicines, CNPV NDA filing, imminent, Lilly Foundayo, T2D filing under CNPV, July 1st, Medicare, GLP-1 Bridge Program. Launches, July 31st, Section 232 Pharma Tariffs, effective, large companies. August 22nd, Capricor Duramyocel, PDUFA, Duchenne Cell Therapy, Read, Full Analysis, Biomed, Nexus. Pro, Institutional Intelligence Brief, the platinum problem cisplatin was first approved in 1978. Carboplatin followed in 1989. Nearly 50 years later, these drugs remain standard of care across multiple tumor types. They are generic, inexpensive, and foundational to modern oncology, and now they are in short supply. The economics: platinum is the key raw material. Global platinum prices have risen sharply due to supply disruptions, mining output, geopolitical factors, including the Iran war's commodity impact. and increased industrial demand, hydrogen fuel cells, electronics. For generic manufacturers operating on thin margins with domestic price controls, the math no longer works. It costs more to produce cisplatin than the regulated price allows. The US exposure. The USP's 2024 report noted that a third of oral medicines in shortage are priced below $1 per unit. Platinum-based injectables face similar dynamics. The 6-month stockpile of 26 essential medicines ordered by the White House in mid-2025 may not include cisplatin and carboplatin specifically. If the shortage extends beyond India to affect global supply, US cancer centers could face treatment delays. For BD teams, this creates a potential opportunity for alternative platinum-based formulations, liposomal delivery systems, or non-platinum chemotherapy backbones. Companies with differentiated manufacturing, US-based, vertically integrated raw material sourcing, may gain competitive advantage. Tavneos, post-market safety in practice. The Tavneos situation illustrates the tension between post-market safety monitoring and market access for rare disease patients. Tavneos was approved by the FDA in 2021 for ANCA-associated vasculitis, a rare autoimmune condition affecting blood vessels. The drug provided a steroid-sparing alternative for patients who face serious side effects from long-term corticosteroid use. The FDA's post-market review identified patient deaths that the agency considers causally linked to the drug. The voluntary removal request is the FDA's standard first step before initiating a mandatory withdrawal proceeding. Amgen's response, commissioning an independent Duke analysis, is a defensive strategy designed to demonstrate that the deaths are attributable to the underlying disease or confounding factors rather than the drug itself. If the Duke analysis is persuasive, Amgen could negotiate a label change, black box warning, restricted distribution, rather than full withdrawal. For the rare disease community, losing Tavneos would leave ANCA-associated vasculitis patients with fewer treatment options. The risk-benefit calculation for rare disease drugs is inherently different from mass-market therapies because the patient population is small and alternatives are limited. The new Biogen strategic pivot is notable because the company was built on internal discovery. Spinraza, nusinersen, internally discovered antisense oligonucleotide for SMA Tecfidera, dimethyl fumarate. Internally developed for MS Sabri, natalizumab. Internally discovered for MS with Elan. The new Biogen model emphasizes external partnerships, felzartamab, consolidated from TJ Biopharma, Solanison breakthrough. External investments, venture collaborations, licensing, strategic acquisitions, Apellis $5.6b for immunology, charged kidney, pending close. The question is whether a company whose culture and identity are built on internal science can successfully transition to a partnership-driven model. The track record for similar pivots, Pfizer in the 2010s, AbbVie post-Humira, is mixed. Some companies successfully diversified. Others struggled with cultural integration and strategic coherence. Catalyst calendar, June 2026. Forward date, event tickers, June 22-25 BIO International Convention, San Diego. Multiple imminent revolution medicines, CNPV NDA filing, RVM Dimminent Lilly. Foundayo T2D filing under CNPVLI 2026, Zidesamtinib B, PDUFA, ROS1, NSCLC, GSK, and UVL 26, Niladalkib, PDUFA, ALK, NSCLC, GSK, and UVL Q3, 2026, Revolution, Medicines, Daraxonrasib, approval projected, Truist, RVMD, July, E1 Medicare, GLP-1, Bridge Program launches, LOY, NVO, July 31, Section, 232, Pharma tariffs, effective, large companies, multiple August 22, Capricorn, Deramyocel, PDUFA, Duchenne cell therapy, XAPRH2 2026 Merck, SAK TMT global filing, expected MRKH2 2026 Foundayo, T2D regulatory action, expected LOYH2 2026 Ajax, registrational trial initiation, expected LOI 2026 Triumph 2, Retatrutide T2D, readout expected LOI 2026 Triumph 3, Retatrutide CV disease, Readout expected LY Deck 2026, Mineralis, Lorundrostat, PDU Families S2027 Retatrutide, launch anticipated, BMO, Licept 19 Ultragenics, UX111 PDUFA, Sanfilippo Type A gene therapy, Raresept 29 Section 232 Pharma tariffs, effective, all other companies, multiple deck 7 Lilly investment community, meeting LLY Visit the Pro, Hub Read. Full article, is your company listed in the Biomed Nexus directory? 2104 companies across 14 categories. Claim or upgrade your listing. Sponsorship slots for 2026 are limited. See packages and pricing. New Biomed Nexus Signals, weekly sales intelligence for life sciences BD teams. Learn more